Hey everyone, welcome into Attacking Third. This is an emergency podcast episode. We are going live because there's breaking news in the NWSL. The U.S. Women's National Team forward Trinity Rodman has re-signed with the Spirit. Rodman is staying in Washington on a record-breaking 3-year deal, reportedly worth over $2 million a year, including bonuses. This move makes Trinity Rodman the highest paid player in the NWSL and, according to her agent, in the world. We are breaking it all down here on Attacking Third, because where else would we be? Alongside Darian Jenkins and Sandra Herrera, I am Lisa Carlin. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening as a pod, watching on Golazo Network, or with us live on YouTube, leave comments, join the chat, and let us know what you think about Trinity Rodman staying in Washington. I had to go through my boxes and pull out my Rodman kit out of temporary retirement where I put it. Darian, you called this move. You said that she was going to stay in the NWSL. Now she has officially signed with Washington and through 2028, D.
This is huge. This is huge. I thought she was going to stay, and I actually love that she waited to do this until it was on her terms, till she got what she wanted. She is incredibly valuable, not just to the Washington Spirit, but to this league and growing women's football here in the U.S. with the NWSL. So I love that she did it. I love that she did it with some swagger. She had her girl Emma behind her biggest little fan with her box braids. She had Michelle Kang with her, Haley Carter. I mean, a powerhouse of a bunch of women, which I absolutely love. But this is monumental for the league and truly how they're going to retain, attract, build this league around players like a Trinity Rodman.
This announcement that Darian is referring to was put out by Michelle Kang, Haley Carter, and Trinity Rodman in LA, where Rodman is right now with the U.S. Women's National Team camp. Sandra, you were there. You got to be at this press conference. Darian just talked about it, how much pomp and circumstance there was just watching it, hearing about it, reading about it. How was it for you being boots on the ground in LA for this?
Yeah, great timing. Honestly, look, it's a USWNT camp. Got out here for coverage of those games, and all of a sudden media's getting some media inquiries in their inboxes, a special announcement from the Spirit and by Michelle Kang, by Haley Carter. What could it all mean? What could it possibly be alluding to? And I think for a lot of people there was chatter about, is it done? Because what's been happening is work behind the scenes. There's been effort to get this across the finish line between Trinity Rodman's management team, her agents, and Washington Spirit, and obviously everything that has transpired with the high impact player stuff, the 2 grievances that have been filed. Essentially, it's been a long time coming. So it definitely felt like, well, if there's some event, a special media event tied to an announcement, what could it be? All the arrows were trending towards this, and I walked in honestly not knowing really what to expect. I mean, it's in Los Angeles for starters, so I think for a lot of people there was some strange question marks around that, and then more pieces kind of coming together. Well, Trinity Rodman's in USWNT camps right now. Like, is this more kind of like, little pieces of cookies, on a trail to follow, to the promised land? It turns out it was. There was a little bit of a buildup, like what could it actually be? The fact that there was an introduction for Michelle Kang, for Haley Carter, the CEO, and Kim Stone, hosted by Sebi Salazar. Shout out to our colleague. Like it's just like, well, like what's happening here? And then there was just like a bit of a buildup to the buildup and to the moment. So there was something unique about it in that this hasn't been done before. Mm-hmm. And for that reason alone, with time to reflect on it, it just felt special. Like you just knew that like this is one of those very tangible historic things in time that you get to point at and say, this is where it happened, this is when it happened, and this is what it looked like then. And so it's just a really, really good moment for, number one, for Trinity Rodman specifically, but there's a lot of victory laps, I think, for a number of parties involved. Obviously, folks on the Spirit side, the league as well is going to celebrate this as they should.
Yeah, as they absolutely should. I mean, this is huge. It's almost like it's been such a long time coming, but there was moments there where so many thought maybe she's not going to sign because there were incredibly lucrative offers from teams in Europe, and there was a big old gap in how the Washington Spirit was even going to play for this, where the league board of governors had to get together, the NWSLPA had to get together and said, how do we retain this player? And Haley Carter, who is newly with the Washington Spirit, arguably one of the biggest factors in getting this over the line, said that, quote, Trinity's contract has benefited from the implementation of the HIP rule, which is the high impact player rule that was put into place in December that allowed teams to spend up to $1 million over the salary cap on star players that met this certain criteria. Sandra, you talked about the debate that came back from the PA about saying that this violates the CBA and the criteria qualification. That was one of their biggest things, controls and interferes with which players get paid more. And there was a bit of back and forth. And frankly, it's still a little bit up to date at points, but this is a rule that has been put into a place. And as of right now, call it the Rodman rule if you want, because it has worked and it has allowed Trinity Rodman to stay in the NWSL. It is good for the league. It's good for the players. It affects both of them massively. For the league, Darian, Rodman is not just a player that scores goals. She is so much bigger than that as a marketing agent and a face for the league. What does this say that she is staying in the NWSL?
I kind of want to throw that back to you because I want to speak a little bit more on what this means for generations to come and how impactful she is to those that look up to her and those around her. But Lisa, I want to ask you that question because I feel like you're more of you have such a good perspective on what this means for the league on the broader scale. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it means a little bit more of legitimacy in the NWSL. I think league was getting nervous with the exodus of players like Alyssa Thompson, Naomi Girma, Sam Coffey, who most recently went overseas, that it's almost like an imposter syndrome. Is the NWSL the best league in the world? And if you can't retain players that are the best in the world, like Alyssa Thompson, Naomi Girma, Sam Coffey, Trinity Rodman topped that list, then how are you going to say you are the best? And if you can't pay them adequately, and this allows the league to do that, to not only keep their players happy and staying stateside and staying with the club, the only club that Rodman has played for in the NWSL since becoming a professional. That says a lot about the league and Washington Spirit as a club, Michelle Kang as an ownership group, the facilities that Washington has, the goals that they have, even despite the change in roster rotation, that Rodman wants to stay there. It's almost like the validation that the league needs, that we are the best and we can retain the best players, i.e., Trinity Rodman, even if it takes until the final hour when players should be reporting to camp for preseason.
The what if side of it is going to get played down a ton, right? Because the what if doesn't matter anymore because she's here. But to your point, Lisa, like if she did not stay in NWSL, it would have, at least optics wise, it would have felt catastrophic. You never want to, let them see you sweat, right? That's the phrase.
Optics is a really good keyword.
But optics is the main word there. The perception for people, perception is reality. And the fact is 1 year, in 1 year, that's why the Sam Coffey stuff was so interesting. Like in 1 year, that's what it marked from January 2025 to January 26. There were some significant key players who decided to make that leap to go play overseas, and credit to them. Like this is, reflective of how the sport has evolved and grown, and players have fought for this type of agency and they're getting it, and they should 100% be taking that, and they should 100% be supportive in that. But in what that means for the league specifically, not great, right? That you are getting these players leaving, and the fact that you're not necessarily seeing this a little bit of the pendulum swing the other way kind of sucks. Like it's not like you're like, what's going on here? And so yes, the NWSL has superstars. It has players that are incredible on the pitch. This is the league of Barbara Banda and Temwa Shawinga. This is still the league of Sophia Wilson, Mallory Swanson. But that didn't make any of that other stuff matter any less. Those are still things that happened in a matter of a year. And so the potential to lose Trinity Rodman absolutely was bothering specific workrooms in the league. And so it was great chatting with Haley Carter, afterwards, at the event, where she kind of just echoed some of those sentiments. They can't, they're for clubs, so they don't really have an opinion on the hip rule and the back and forth. That is something that needs to be litigated and sorted out with the league and the NWSL the PA's argument that it should be collectively bargained. Maybe they have a case here we're going to eventually see in due time. But for now, what matters is that contract is signed, sealed, and delivered. And whatever happens with the hip rule, the Washington Spirit are contracted to honor that agreement. So it's going to be interesting to see if what kind of pans out with the hip mechanism, because Denver also was a team that alluded to, hey, maybe hip will be utilized when we can effectively use it with someone like Lindsay Heaps. So it's funny to see it be the Rodman rule when Heaps was kind of like the first player to be talked about that. But I mean, it's maybe this is where you get to talk to us a little bit about that generational kind of impact, Darian, because here's a Lindsay Heaps who is maybe kind of just, building up before Rodman gets here. And yet she's also a player that's going to benefit from this rule.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Lindsay Heaps is one of those players that inspired of Sam Coffey and Alyssa Thompson, players like that, to go play overseas and spread your wings and go challenge yourself outside of the NWSL. But I look at Trinity Rodman and her doing this on her terms, getting the bag that she deserves, but also fully being herself this entire time is what I love. And I think not just what she brings on the pitch is incredibly valuable to the Spirit, to the league, to the U.S. Women's National Team, to have that here in our backyards and watch her every weekend, but also what she brings off of the pitch. To me, to see little Emma, her biggest fan there with her colorful box braids, inspired by Trinity Rodman, seeing herself in somebody that goes and completely is who they are on and off of the pitch, is so inspiring. And I loved this quote when Trinity was at the press conference. She said, "I do want to be involved with the youth that are less fortunate, because I know, even speaking from experience, I was not financially stable growing up. Those that are naturally gifted or not even need to have the ability to play sports to get where I'm at, because it's a dream, and I think everyone should have that opportunity." She is so emblematic. Sandra, shout out. I'm reading your article on CBS Sports. Go look it up, everybody. That just hit my heart, because I wish I had a player like a Trinity Rodman to watch when I was a little girl. And she is that for the league, for what she looks like, for what she does, how she shows her personality, her flair, how she is as a businesswoman. And she is in the right place, surrounded by the right people to do it. So I think just moving forward, she is the blueprint of how you want to move as a marketing professional athlete that is giving back in this league. And I absolutely loved that.
Rodman is also, for how talented she is and smart and savvy as a businesswoman, she loves her fans. She is always doing TikToks with them. And I've been to Washington games and worked them. She stays and she says hi, win or lose, to every single fan that waits for her around the field. She goes around and she takes pictures with them and she signs their autographs and does those TikToks. And you can tell how much it means to her to be a role model too. And she does not take that responsibility lightly. And I think that's so evident in the quote that you just said, Darian, about how much she wants to be a difference for these players. And I think that Washington Spirit and the community that she has built at that club specifically says a lot about this. Maybe when she was 18, if she signed with a different club, would she still be at that club on her third contract? I don't know, right? That's another what if that maybe it doesn't matter at this point, but she has found a home at Washington and the fans have embraced her and she has embraced them to the point where she wasn't going to leave and she didn't want to leave and she was going to do whatever it took to stay there. And of course, Washington wanted to keep her just as much, but to me, it says a lot that she also wanted to stay there because frankly, she could have gone anywhere, any club, any team, any country would have taken her and paid her. So to me, that's a lot for Rodman to stay at Washington. And now the question is, when are they going to win the championship? Because she's 23 years old right now. They have lost the NWSL championship in the final the last 2 seasons, and her contract takes her through the age where she will be 26, arguably in her prime of football. To me, the best years of Trinity Rodman and Washington Spirit and this club are on the horizon, and she gets to stay in the NWSL, and we get to watch her continue to grow and develop as a player and a professional.
I think that's something that was also like really important to know about yesterday's announcement, is like seeing that growth, seeing that kind of development for Trinity. I mentioned this briefly earlier, in Morning Footy. And I think for me, being in the room and listening to her speak, like being able to ask her like how she wants to define this next era of her Washington Spirit career, and her saying how she wants to be more involved in the youth in ways that she, past ways that she already is involved. Everyone has used certain ways to describe Trinity Rodman. It's been, electrifying on the pitch, fun, culturally relevant, like all of those things. But I think we can all agree that like in certain, spaces and even on the show, like the word maturity isn't something that's always been used with like Trinity Rodman. And that comes with age and experience. And I think for me, that is what was really kind of breaking through in this announcement. The fact that she was fielding some of these questions and her responses to them and how she was answering them, already knowing her next steps and where she wants to go and how to execute them. I think that's very important to know here as well. Everyone's like, well, what comes next for Trinity Rodman? And it's like, we're going to get to see it. And she's already thinking about the ways in which she's going to deliver, how she wants to deliver, not just on the pitch, but for herself and for the community around her and the youth around her. And so it's a really exciting moment in time. And, I'm really glad that it had kind of just all of the special event like hype around it, because that's never been done before for a player and this contract of this magnitude. So I hope in the future that this is just the first one that gets celebrated like this. And I hope there's more to come.
Potentially more to come. This is big news. This is a lot. Break out your once hung up Trinity Rodman Spirit kits, dust them off, and get ready to watch Trinity Rodman in the NWSL for another 3 years, getting paid what this superstar player absolutely deserves. That does it for our emergency pod. Final thoughts from either of you, Sandra, Darian, before we wrap this up?
I want to go to Rowdy Audi now. This is the year we do an A3 at Rowdy Audi and the yellow wall, cheering on these teams. I can't wait.
Let's go. We heard a lot yesterday about rising tides, all ships. It feels like a domino effect. Rodman echoing that, she mentioned that hopefully that this opens doors for more. She does not want to be the only player having this type of moment, receiving this type of contract. So I'm here for it as well. That's the energy I want. You want that from your league face. You want your league face signing a contract at the podium saying, come on over.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. She looks happy. She looks healthy. She looks ready to rock at Audi for the Washington Spirit fans. And it was a long-awaited announcement. The saga was long, but the ending was so perfect and beautiful for Trinity Rodman, Washington Spirit fans, and the NWSL. And if you're itching to watch Trinity Rodman play, guys, you can. This Saturday, she's playing with the U.S. Women's National Team against Paraguay, and then you get to hear our thoughts. Join us on A3 Saturday, immediately following the U.S. match, and we're going to bring you all the live reactions and the analysis. We will see you on Saturday. Thanks everyone for hanging with us. Stay safe this weekend in this winter weather storm, and follow us on Attacking Third wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and review, and we'll see you Saturday. For Phil, Audrey, Darian, and Sandra, I'm Lisa. This was Attacking Third.